3 months before the money disappeared, Daniel swore he would never fall for something like that. He was the kind of person who laughed at scam stories. The kind of person who'd say, "How do grown adults still send money to strangers on the internet?" Then life happened. Rent was due. His younger sister needed school fees. His salary had been delayed again. And one night, around 1:13 a.m., staring at a nearly empty account balance and a message from his landlord, Daniel saw an opportunity that looked less like a scam and more like rescue. That's the part people don't understand about financial scams. Most victims are not stupid. They're not always greedy either. A lot of them are just tired. Tired of being behind. Tired of choosing which bill to ignore this month. Tired of pretending everything is fine when it clearly isn't. And when someone shows up offering a shortcut out of that pain, your brain doesn't process it the same way it would on a calm Tuesday afternoon with money in the bank. Desperation changes the math. Daniel was 29. He worked in customer support for a small company. Not a bad guy. Not reckless. Not some gambler chasing miracles. He was actually careful with money. He sent part of every paycheck home. He skipped outings. He wore the same 2 work shoes for almost 3 years. He was doing everything people say you're supposed to do. And still, it wasn't enough. Then his mother got sick. Not rushed to the hospital sick. Worse, in a way. The kind of sick that drains money slowly. Tests. Drugs. Transport. Follow-ups. More tests. No dramatic emergency. Just a quiet, expensive leak in the wall of his life. By the time that message found him, Daniel was already mentally exhausted. It came from a friend he actually knew. Not a random number. Not a fake celebrity account. A real friend. Someone he'd gone to school with. The message was casual. "Guy, I've been meaning to tell you about this investment thing. I've been using it for 2 months. It's solid. I've withdrawn twice already." Daniel almost ignored it. Then came the screenshot. A clean dashboard. A funded account. A withdrawal alert. A bank credit notification. And then the sentence that matters in almost every scam. "I know things are hard right now, so I thought of you." That line is dangerous because it doesn't sound like manipulation. It sounds like care. That's how a lot of scams work now. They don't approach you like criminals. They approach you like helpers. Not, "I want to steal from you." More like, "I know you're under pressure. I know you need relief. I might have something that can help." And when you're desperate, help doesn't go through the same security checks in your mind. Daniel asked questions. What kind of platform is it? How does it work? Why are the returns so high? Can I withdraw anytime? His friend had an answer for everything. That's another reason scams work. By the time you ask the obvious questions, someone has already rehearsed the comforting answers. The pitch was simple. Put in a small amount. Watch it grow in a few days. Withdraw profit. If it works, add more later. That's how they keep it believable. Because nobody starts by asking you to hand over your entire life savings in one go. That would trigger alarm bells. No, the smart scam gives you something smaller first. Something that feels testable. Safe enough to try. Low enough to justify. Daniel sent the equivalent of about a week's salary. And then something dangerous happened. It worked. Or at least, it looked like it worked. His dashboard balance went up. He requested a withdrawal. A small amount landed in his account. That tiny success did more damage than any lie. Because now it wasn't just a promise anymore. Now it was proof. And once a scam gives you proof, even fake proof, controlled proof, temporary proof, your brain relaxes. You stop asking, "Is this real?" and start asking, "How much can I make if I move faster?" That's when desperation and hope begin working together, which is a terrible combination. Desperation says, "You need this." Hope says, "This might finally be it." And together they can drown out every warning sign in the room. Over the next week, Daniel watched the numbers climb. His mother needed another round of treatment. His landlord had stopped being polite. His sister had started sending messages like, "Any update?" instead of asking directly for the money, which somehow made it worse. So Daniel made the decision that ruined him. He took money from his emergency savings. Not all of it. Just enough to speed things up. That's what he told himself. Not "I'm gambling. Not "I'm doing something reckless. Just "I'm trying to get ahead of the fire before it spreads." And if you've never been cornered financially, that may sound irrational. But if you have, you know how seductive just this once can be. The platform kept rewarding him. More growth. More green numbers. Another successful small withdrawal. Now he was convinced. Not because he was foolish. Because the scam had been designed to convert fear into trust one small step at a time. That's the thing about a desperate mind. It doesn't need a fantasy. It just needs a believable bridge between where you are and where you need to be. Not private jets. Not billionaire dreams. Just enough to pay rent. Enough to cover treatment. Enough to breathe again. That's why desperation makes people vulnerable. It lowers the size of the lie required to move them. Then came the moment scammers love most. The victim begins convincing themselves. Daniel stopped needing persuasion from his friend. He became his own salesperson. He told himself he had done due diligence. He told himself the first withdrawals proved the platform was real. He told himself this was smarter than taking a loan. He told himself if he waited too long, he'd miss the opportunity. And because real-life pressure was still sitting on his chest every day, slowing down felt irresponsible. That's the trap. Sometimes urgency doesn't feel reckless. Sometimes it feels responsible. When you're desperate, caution can feel like a luxury for people who aren't drowning. So Daniel did the worst thing you can do inside a well-built scam. He went all in. Not with millions. That's not how most of these stories look. He put in the money he had saved for rent, the money he had set aside for his mother's next appointment, and a chunk he borrowed from his cousin with the promise that he'd pay it back in 2 weeks. Because by now, the app was showing him numbers that made the whole thing feel temporary. Just survive these 2 weeks, he thought. Then everything resets. Then I can breathe. For 3 days, nothing happened. On the 4th day, he tried to withdraw. The app said pending. He waited. Then customer support told him there was a verification issue. He needed to deposit a little more to unlock the withdrawal. If you've heard scam stories before, you already know what that means. Daniel did too. He just didn't want to admit it yet. This is one of the ugliest moments in any scam. Not when the money disappears. When the victim starts suspecting the truth, but still sends more money anyway. People watching from the outside call that stupidity. It usually isn't. It's panic. Because once you've sunk money into something, your brain starts bargaining. Maybe it's just a technical issue. Maybe if I fix this one last problem, I can still recover everything. Maybe the worst thing I can do is stop now. That's how people lose money twice. First to the scam, then to the hope of undoing the scam. Daniel borrowed again and paid the unlock fee. The withdrawal still didn't come. Then there was a tax charge. Then an account upgrade. Then silence. His friend stopped replying properly. The platform's customer service turned robotic. The dashboard still showed his money sitting there, which somehow made it more painful. Like being locked outside your own house and forced to stare through the window. He spent 2 full days trying to recover it. Sending emails. Refreshing the app. Calling numbers that no longer connected. Reading old messages over and over, as if one of them would suddenly confess. And then came the part scam statistics don't show you. He had to call his mother and say the hospital money would be delayed. He had to dodge his landlord. He had to tell his cousin, in the weakest voice imaginable, that the repayment wasn't coming when he promised. That's what scams steal that doesn't show up on a bank statement. Dignity, sleep, trust in your own judgment. For weeks, Daniel couldn't talk about it properly. Not because he didn't understand what happened, but because he did. He knew the red flags now. The unrealistic returns. The pressure to move quickly. The fake reassurance of small withdrawals. The friend referral system. The pay more to unlock your money nonsense. He saw all of it, just too late. And that's why shame hits scam victims so hard. Because once the fog clears, the whole thing looks obvious. You replay every choice and think, how did I not see it? But that question is unfair. Because you're asking a desperate version of yourself to behave like a calm one. And those are not the same person. A calm person says, I'll sleep on it. A desperate person says, I can't afford to wait. A calm person researches for 3 days. A desperate person sees school fees due on Friday. A calm person spots manipulation. A desperate person hears relief. That doesn't excuse bad decisions, but it explains them. And if you don't understand that part, you'll keep misunderstanding why scams spread so easily. Scammers are not just selling returns. They're selling emotional rescue. They study pressure. They study embarrassment. They study urgency. They study the exact moment a human being becomes more focused on escaping pain than evaluating risk. That's their real business model. The lesson here isn't, never trust anybody. That's too simple. The real lesson is this. The more desperate you feel, the less qualified you are to make fast money decisions. That is the moment to slow down, not speed up. Because desperation will make a bad offer look merciful. It will make a suspicious person feel trustworthy. It will make a temporary relief feel worth a permanent loss. If money is tight, if life is pressing you from all sides, if you feel that ugly mix of fear and urgency in your chest, that is exactly when you need friction. Call someone who has nothing to gain from your decision. Wait 24 hours. Ask what the business actually does. Ask where the returns come from. Ask why they need your money instead of a bank's money. Ask why every scam sounds allergic to patience. Daniel eventually recovered, but not in the cinematic way. No surprise refund. No heroic twist. No scammer confession. He recovered the way most people do. Slowly. One paycheck at a time. One embarrassing conversation at a time. One painful lesson at a time. And what stayed with him wasn't just the loss. It was the realization that the scam didn't begin when he sent the money. It began much earlier, when pressure got so loud that relief started sounding more trustworthy than logic. That's the dangerous part. Not desperation by itself, but the way desperation can make a lie feel like the most reasonable decision in the world. So if you ever find yourself in a season where money problems are making you feel rushed, ashamed, cornered, or unusually hopeful about a quick fix, pause. Not because you're weak, because you're human. And human beings under pressure don't just need better financial advice. Sometimes they need protection from the version of themselves that just wants the pain to stop. If this story made you think differently about money, scams, or investing, subscribe to Pete Finance. This channel is about the psychology, mistakes, stories, and money lessons people usually learn too late. And if you've ever been close to an investment scam or survived one, drop your story in the comments. Someone else might need to hear it before it's too late.